Hey there, Dota fans, and welcome back to Shared Tangos. This is episode 17. We are well into May, and Trent is feeling good on this beautiful spring day. Bud, I don't even need to ask. I know you're doing great. I can see you're radiating today. I don't know what.
You know what it is?
That
I
fresh
just got up
haircut
from a nap. That's why.
That's what it is.
I went to put the baby to bed, and he was a little fussy, so I lied down next to him. He's like lying in the little bassinet next to me, and then I just got right to sleep while he fell asleep in the bed. Oh, it was good.
That's nice. That's good. Those like biological naps where your body just takes over and says, "No, we need this. We need this. We're going to sleep, bud." Well, that's great. What's been going on in your world? Our last episode was all focused around NA Dota. We did get some legitimate flames. I saw a YouTube comment that struck me down hard. They said, I would have expected an episode about NA Dota to talk about the retirement of PPD in Universe. And I thought, that's probably a good point.
I think we kind of just glazed over it, didn't we?
Yeah, it's one of those nose pieces, though. Like, I don't know that I have a crazy amount to say about it beyond, like, they're two incredible players. I'm worried about NA Dota. I feel like a broken record because I've been saying this for the last, 10 podcasts in a row. What's going on with NA Dota, and how does weplay pay for their tournaments? That's been my whole shtick since we started this show. So, it sucks. I admire both of them as players and what they brought to the game. And I'm curious what they'll do next. Part of me wonders if this will be like a Chow 8 style. I'm going to retire, and then 2 years later, you're like, I'm so fucking bored. I'm going to start playing Dota again.
Yeah, I could see that with Peter still. Even though he says he wants to move on, he's tried that already once before. To move on to other stuff. So I wouldn't be that surprised if he made another comeback. I think Universe might just be done, though. But, again, we're not, best friends with either of them, really. I mean, I've had more interactions with Peter than I've had with Lissa Hill, but I've hung out with him a little bit too. I feel like I kind of got a feel for the guy. I think he just if I think the right situation occurred, where he could just still live in LA and play, I'm sure he probably still would. But they don't want to do the full life of Dota right now, I think, which is fine.
Yeah. I mean, Universe is an interesting one because remember, he's made a shitload of money. I mean, he's got $3 million in earnings, and a lot of that is TI, but he's also won just a lot of other tournaments. He started playing in 2011 and officially retired 2020. Man, that is a pretty serious run. I could see why you would want to move on. Universe and I, our birthdays are only 5 days apart.
Really?
How about that? We are like the exact same age. I've had a couple of fun experiences with the Universe. After they won DAC, whatever that first one was in China, when Sumail made his debut, I went out to the winner dinner. Charlie invited me to come out with him to Hot Pot to celebrate. And I got to converse with Universe a little bit. We chatted and sort of became friendly. He's a very, I wouldn't call him introverted, but he's pretty quiet. He doesn't...
Yeah.
He's sort of like S4 a little bit. He'll talk if you talk about something he's interested in, but he doesn't feel the need to just blather on endlessly like I do.
Yes, I was victorious in a couple games of Codenames with him. So
yes, yeah,
you could say we've bonded for life.
Yeah. He was at a couple of those BTS events that I was at, like at the after parties and stuff. He's a fun board game guy. It's interesting to see how Dota players and their skills transfer to other games, or sometimes how they don't. And I've been in those situations, like playing poker with Dota players is rough. Sitting at the table with Cinderin and Misery, and they're all fucking bluffing each other, and you're just like, Jesus Christ, this is way, way beyond what I signed up for. I'm glad this is only a $20 buy-in. And then you see things like Codenames, and I've seen Universe biff a few rounds. I've seen him sit there and go, okay, one.
I think it's kind of like Dota's one of the best games in terms of you have to break everything down, and you constantly have to break something down and learn it, which is the hardest part of a video game, right?
Yeah.
But that's Dota just changes so much that even though it's the same game, you still have to find out the new rules basically every time there's a patch, and playing that on a professional level and dedicating your life to that probably makes you so good at picking up every other game.
Yeah. It's true.
Just apply all the same rules to it. It's you guys probably have these games that you play that aren't Dota, and sure, you're a huge Dota fan, much like we are, but I'm not a pro Dota player. I'm never gonna be as good at Dota as these guys, but I've got some other games that maybe I've dedicated a lot of my earlier life to that I'm still super sick at. You might think oh yeah, okay, these guys are good at Dota, but touch me in Melee, I'm gonna mess them up. There are some of these Dota players that will wipe the floor with like the best casual melee players out of anyone that I know. Like
No,
Boxy
absolutely.
and Instania are so good. It is so frustrating.
I mean, sometimes you feel like players have this sunk cost in the game that they're in, but it easily could have been another game. Like S4 is stupidly good at Counter-Strike.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen him play
Ake,
CSGO,
too.
but he is a monster. I think Ake is insane. Yeah, at a couple of games. He's just one of those well-rounded dudes. We noticed that at whichever summit it was when Black was there playing with VG. I think it might have been Summit 2. So that was when we introduced the fun stream and we had all these different games that people were playing.
Oh, yeah.
And
like
was it
Powerball or whatever?
Gang Beasts? Or yeah, there were a couple of them. And Black was just so quick at, okay, first round, he didn't play that well. Second round, he's beating everybody. Third round, he's dumpstering everyone. And it's like, God damn, you picked that up quick. You just immediately went right for the head.
While he does it.
Yeah, it's something else. So I don't know. I'm curious what Universe will do next. I mean, we've seen a glimpse of PPD. He clearly has an interest in the financial side of stuff. He's involved with Round Hill Investments, the group that do that nerd ETF that you can buy on most stock exchanges. He's like their esports guy. It's backed by some of the same dudes that were involved in Optic way back when, those esports investors on the back end. So Peter's got a whole bunch of irons in the fire. I don't know if you're friends with Peter on LinkedIn, Trent, but he's very active on that platform. He's constantly posting all sorts of metrics and news and the kind of stuff that business folk would be interested in. So I think Peter's already working on a number of different things.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not a social media guy. I have Twitter. That's it.
The fuck
I like my sanity. I don't think I can handle much more than Twitter. Twitter even. Sometimes I go down a rabbit hole of Twitter and I'm just like, what am I doing? I'm just like,
dude,
I'm gonna go do
LinkedIn
something else
is
right now.
so weird. My pendulum swings on whether or not LinkedIn is useless or a really useful platform because it has maintained some semblance of like business identity, and I do feel like it's important to have one and have a lot of connections and not just fill it up with spam accounts, but at the same time very little business actually comes from
it feels
LinkedIn.
like it's something that you could maintain for like 5 or 6 years, but there will be that one time where you like need a job and that might come in like humongously handy, but if that time never comes, it's just this like fail safe that you've sunk a lot of time into.
Yes, I think it's a pretty low percentage, but over time it's added up where we've gotten a couple of sponsors from LinkedIn. You know, I've gotten some emails, I've gotten some introductions.
Some people have hit me up a few times, you know.
I'm a pretty big deal on what's the short word for? You know, you got the book, you know, what is it? The inn? Hit me on the gram, hit me on the link.
I think it's the link. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. You guys know, you are being clickbaited here. There's no Andrew Wiggins here, but the Maple Jordan is me.
Yeah, let me update it here. That's my bad.
Yeah, it's
that shows how little
gonna be
I know
confused here.
The real world.
I don't know what else you want to call it, but no, we do not have a famous NBA star as our guest. So I just made a joke once to call me Maple Jordan, and here we are.
Well, I appreciate it, though, that people realize that it might not be a complete joke because we've had an NFL player on our podcast before this, and we had an NHL goalie on our podcast.
That's true.
So if we had an NBA player on one time, that wouldn't be like the craziest thing in the world, dude. We're established. We're in there.
We need gotta find ourselves a basketball player, I guess. I mean, Jeremy Lin's the obvious choice.
Well, yeah. I've actually never met Jay Lynn. The only opportunities I've had were whichever TI he was at filming that stuff, and it was like an assembly line if you wanted to meet him, and I just felt I don't like that ultra fan shit. I never know what to say. I don't want to stand in line to get 10 seconds with the amazing Jay Lynn.
I'm actually more important than all these other people, but I know it doesn't look like it. I'm a pretty big deal in the Dota community.
I don't have any business cards, but here's my LinkedIn. Can I manage your Dota team?
Hey, I know we can talk about because I was just mentioning it. There's a few things to talk about, I think, this episode. First off, we do have a couple new patches. We got 7.26C, which dropped like directly after our podcast, I think.
You're at
the next day.
Yep.
And then we got PoG.
Yes. Have you played
Path of Guardians, dude.
Have you actually played it? Because I haven't. I understand
I have not,
what it
but
is.
I've watched a little bit.
Okay.
I saw some people were streaming it, so when I was caring for my children, I delved a little, had a look. I saw a lot of happy people. I've also checked out this website. I'm going to link it in chat. If you guys haven't seen it, holy moly. This thing is crazy. Their website is insane. Like, there's a whole battle pass. There's achievements. There's tons of stuff to do.
Holy shit! So they've made it a real experience. Suns fan, you bastard. Has he done it? Has he actually done it, Trent? When I first heard that he was investing his time and money into a Dota 2 custom game, I actually thought he was crazy. I didn't want to be mean or demoralize him, but my genuine reaction was, dog, we barely made it through Midas Mode 2. Barely. That game mode did not work. It kind of fucked up our otherwise really cool event. Custom games are so hard to execute, so hard to maintain over time. I would say Auto Chess got lucky. To me, that's what category it's in. They made out like bandits. They made a really cool game. They sold it while it was hot, and they cashed out at the peak of their fad. Well done.
They did nail it.
But maybe this is actually the beginning of something. Are we going to see some PoG tournaments, dude?
Hell yeah. I think so. I think Suns fans going to host them. I mean, I would assume that it's actually a pretty good time for them with no LANs. This is the time to do clowny stuff. People don't take online events that seriously anyway, so I think there's a bigger opening for these fun events because there's just less super intense top of the line competition.
Yeah, and it feels like we're in this cycle again. It's starting to remind me of what old Star Ladder felt like. You'd have these really long group stages, and for Star Ladder 4, it was awesome. 16 teams, all these matches. Woo, let's watch it all. Season 4, exact same format. You're like, all right, do I really want to watch all this again? Okay, this is pretty hype. Woo! Season 5, we're adding even more matches. Great, a longer group stage. Just what I wanted. Oh, woo! And you're just slowly winding down as they refuse to innovate or do anything different until they got to Star Ladder 10, Star Ladder 11. It's just, it's so much content. I don't care about the content that's on right now, bud. Not going to lie.
Yeah. And,
no offense, you've been casting it, but
in terms of content, again, Path of Guardians. The content on this website's insane, dude. There's a changelog tab. He tells you all the updates they do every day.
Well, fuck yeah, bud. How are you gonna have a competitive mode without changelogs?
I can buy 15,000 poggers for $100. So he has his own currency you can purchase.
Dude, is this
Go
fucking
Suns fan, dude?
Suns fan coin right here? You're buying poggers? Is that his? I hope it's backed by cryptocurrency.
I do have to appreciate that they went all in by calling it POG. That was pretty smart.
Oh, fuck yeah. That was incredible.
Yeah, you got to get some of the Twitch chat love in there.
Now, did you notice the name of the company that owns Path of Guardians?
I did not.
This new LLC, Double Edge Studios. It's in the footer of the website, dude. Scroll down to the bottom.
How do they spell it?
What do you mean? Double Edge, just like normal.
Oh, but
Centaur's spell.
Oh, I was thinking that there was going to be some sort of a joke where they made it GERS. So it could be POG.
It's just a reference to Centaur because Suns fan has a hard-on for Centaur.
And he's a separate LLC to get sued at, so it doesn't affect Dota Cinema.
Right, exactly. So when this inevitably gets stolen by Valve or shut down, or he gets investigated by the SEC for starting his own security here, a.k.a. the Poggers, good luck to your accountant, bud. That'll be real fun for the taxes, I'm sure. Very cool, though.
Okay, wait, yeah, how can he just have loot boxes? I mean, I'm no expert, but...
Yeah, no, dude, I'm sure there is some legal gray area there of is this gambling with a made-up currency that you can make more of? I don't know, bud. You might want to... I was joking about
Guess
crypto.
We'll just leave it alone.
Just buy your poggers, folks, Remember Vulcan? Remember that website? They had a good run for a year or two until somebody called the SEC or FBI, whoever it was, and they eventually got investigated, and they were like, y'all are just straight gambling, dog. This isn't okay. You're going to owe us a lot of money. So they said, no, we spent it all. Now we're going to shut down. Okay, see you later. We're going to pivot. We're going to buy Streamlabs. That was the history of Vulcan. It was all,
pretty good pivot.
It was. So I'm curious. The problem with POG, though, is you can't sell it the same way they sold Auto Chess because it is Dota. You don't have any original IP here. So
that's true, but it's also, it serves a purpose, right? So, if you guys haven't played it, basically the idea is that it's all random, all mid, right? That's what it's based off of from Warcraft/League of Legends. And the whole idea is it basically gives you quicker games, somewhere around 15 minutes. And the idea is that like maybe you're a little bit nervous to start playing Dota again. You haven't played in a while. You haven't seen some of the changes, and you just want to get the feel of playing Dota. It's like a,
Yeah.
it's kind of like a more Dota-y feeling overthrow, from what I can tell.
It's like an arena. It's like less farming, more fighting. Oh yeah, Overthrow is another step disconnected from real Dota than this, for sure. This exists as kind of a half step. So that's a great point. I mean, it definitely has a niche, and I think it's an audience that's underserved, that sort of casual Dota player that's intimidated by ranked or even just regular matchmaking. I totally get it. That's cool. And if people support it with the poggers and that's all good, then awesome, dude. I hope it works out. I'm not trying to make it sound like I want Sunsfan to fail. I just thought, all right, investors Iori. All right, I've got a Dota 2 custom game. We're going to monetize it with a compendium on a private website. I'd be like, yeah, so very original. Good luck to you, son.
Yes, and it has its own map too. That's the big difference from Turbo for sure, is that it's much more condensed.
It's one lane. Yeah, one lane with some side pockets. So very cool.
Yes,
Check it
I
out,
definitely want to
folks.
get some games in. Maybe tonight. I'm gonna try and get myself some
I gotta
poggers.
try it. I saw like Bulldog and some others were streaming it. It's actually gotten some traction. I saw on his Discord, Forbes wrote an article about it.
I did see that
on Forbes. Jesus, he's living
I think
the
anyone
dream.
can put their blog on Forbes, though, right? It's not like an actual Forbes.
I don't know.
I think that's what it is. I laughed when I saw that because I didn't know that either until someone pointed that out. I was like, oh.
So that's not a big deal.
It sounds way cooler though.
It does sound pretty cool.
It's been on Forbes, so.
Path of Guardians. Well done. It is a big team. It's a lot of the same. There's a lot of crossover between the Double Edge Studios team and the folks that worked on Midas Mode 2. So
yes,
I'm not surprised to see that they've nailed it from like a web and development perspective, because they've got some big brain folks working on that project over there. So I hope they keep up the momentum, dude. Very exciting. Look at little Suns fan blossoming, making back all that money he lost on Captain's Draft 4. That's great.
God bless you, Suns.
God bless you,
for
Suns
giving
fan.
me life.
Yeah, seriously, you've allowed me to live the dream for the last 5 years, and now moving on to be a miniature version of Gaben, a gaming overlord.
That's his big dream.
I ought to be young.
I've been ignoring I still am stuck on the no team games life right now. I mean, 15 minutes is a lot more doable. Plus, it's a custom game, so I don't really care if I have to leave. Yeah. But I'm still living the life of the man who can only really play solo games because I can't let down my team if I have to run away for babies and stuff in the middle of the night. So I've moved from building games. I'm still doing it, but I was doing a lot of coding and stuff, and that was fun. But I wanted to try something else. I started playing Grand Blue Versus, guys. Holy shit! I have never played a fighting game in my life, and it is so satisfying. Like the closest thing to like a good fighting game with actual combos that I played is Melee. Like Ultimate, there's some combos and shit, but they're super easy. Whereas Melee, you actually have to practice a lot of combo stuff to get good. Mm-hmm. But fighting game combos are like easier than Melee combos, but still super satisfying to practice. Oh my god, they feel so good, dude. I'm having a very good time. I'm not gonna lie. Any Grand Blue people, hit me up on Twitter because I'm still a noob and I haven't played anyone online, but I'm ready to go now.
Look at you.
My Catalina's a beast.
Spending your time wisely, man. I've been doing the opposite. I've been wasting my time watching Netflix and playing Valorant with Pop-Tart. So you do the math.
I saw Pop-Tart tweet today, I love country music. Fire.
Yeah,
so
he's losing
mad
it,
love
dude.
to Pop-Tart.
He's playing Valorant. He's listening to country music. He doesn't know what's going on. Now that he's withdrawing from the drug that was ESL Los Angeles, his life has gone into pure pandemonium.
Give me the hot scoop on Valorant, dude.
I don't know.
You've been spamming it? You've been playing a lot?
I wouldn't say spamming it. My arm's actually been a little sore. I've been sitting inside too much. Haven't been working out. I've been too lazy. So I've been trying to step up from the PC outside of work hours. So I haven't been going as hard as maybe I'd like to be. I'm finally not Iron 1 anymore. Pop-Tart and I both ranked up to Iron 2. So I'm officially my first step outside of the dumpster, Trent. I'm going to pat myself on the back because game is hard.
Nice.
I'm still not that good at shooting heads, but you're right. It very much is all about shooting heads. And I know I've said this before, but I want to get your updated take on this. Who is the audience that Valorant is supposed to resonate with? Because it's so much like Counter-Strike, but with some spells, I think real Counter-Strike fans will play it for a few hours and go, this is okay. This is just a shittier version of the game I already like. I want to go play the shooting heads game where I don't have to worry about these cheese dick spells. I don't want to have to play ultimates, but it is super far removed from Overwatch. It's It's almost nothing like Overwatch. Even the spells are mostly just mechanics from Counter-Strike. It's like smoke grenades and visibility things.
Yeah.
There's a couple of ultimates, like the rocket launcher and the Sova lasers is sort of similar to the bow guy in Overwatch. But it is... I'm going to go 85-15, 85 Counter-Strike, 15 Overwatch. I think it's that extreme. So
I think it's just because Overwatch has no gunplay. So it's just like, this game is still gunplay.
Yeah, exactly. So who are the Overwatch fans playing Overwatch going, man, this game's too hard or too easy. I want gunplay. Like, if you want that, you're going to Counter-Strike. I'm not saying this because I think Valorant isn't going to be popular, but outside of Riot fans, I am sort of curious.
I think they're going to absorb Overwatch. I think Overwatch is just bad. I think that game does not look like it's that much fun anymore. I agree there are people that still want to play their like character and they love that character too much to leave that game, and they're not going to see that character in Valorant, but I think there's a lot of people that are probably playing Overwatch and they're just going to be like, I want a new shooting game, and it's way less intimidating than Overwatch.
Yeah.
So than CS:GO. So I feel like they're going to want to jump to Valorant.
Okay, so you think it's the continual bleed from Overwatch. Was there some Overwatch news, actually? I saw some general tweeting about it, but I missed what it was. What happened?
The good Canadian team has made some mistakes.
Oh, no. So title.
So the Vancouver Titans, as we again for those of regular listeners, you're gonna know that we kind of criticize the Overwatch League a lot, but the one thing we want is for it to be successful because it has a ton of esports money in it. So it's in everyone's vested interest that this thing goes well. Unfortunately, it seems like Blizzard tried to do everything in their power to make sure that's not the case. However, this time it is the coronavirus. Of course, everyone's being hit pretty bad by this, and the Vancouver Titans came second last year. They were the runners-up in the championship, and their team is all South Koreans, I believe, including their coach. And they were staying in Vancouver still. What's that?
It's a classic Vancouver.
Classic Vancouver. So they were staying in Vancouver, but when it became clear that travel restrictions were starting to go up, and it might be only a matter of time before they wouldn't be like able to leave the country easily to go back to South Korea, they didn't want to keep playing the online league in North America. They wanted to go home. And so the Vancouver Titans said, okay, we can make that work. So everyone went home, and then they agreed with the Overwatch League that their team would then move to the Chinese division, and they would just play in the Asian League. I don't know if it's all China or if it's a couple other countries as well, but basically there is a China-centered Overwatch League that they can now play in.
Okay. And
Overwatch League's cool. We'll make that work because it's coronavirus. But apparently they couldn't get the logistics to work somehow, and I love their statement. Is that the statement that you linked?
I like the article that talks about it. Is their statement this one? Let's see, Tim Holloway, director of esports for the Titans. This is the statement
that kills me. This one part of it. The time difference made it difficult for management and the home fan base to connect with the team, and technical challenges for the players playing from home further exacerbated the situation. Oh, come on. What kind of shitty excuse is that, dude? What a terrible excuse. The time zone. It was really hard. I had to get up at a different time. Dog, I know you're all living at home. You're not going into the office. What kind of a shitty excuse? That is the worst excuse I've ever seen in a press release ever.
Especially for esports. Like an industry that is known for being global. I'm sorry. There is this weird argument. That's part of what we never understood about this model is you've just manufactured all of these brands of we're the Vancouver Titans. Okay, what's the identity of this team? I don't know. Who are the players?
Sasquatch.
Some South Koreans. What's the logo? Something I don't understand. Okay, well, we just traded all those players. All right. Are you still a fan? Of what? Not really. I don't really care. Well, will you still watch those players on another time zone? I never really cared to begin with. So not really. So from that weird perspective, I kind of get what they're saying, but I also agree that it comes across very lame when you put it in a PR statement like this. Time zones. Ah! All right. Well.
Oh, God. It's
welcome to the rest of us. Yeah, Overwatch is in big trouble, gang. It is a real shame that coronavirus did straight fuck up their strategy. This is when we should have been knee deep in homestands with thousands of people packed into these venues. I'm sure they'd be giving away tickets for free just to get that shit jam packed to the brim so they can get those awesome pictures that put them on social and get everybody all wet and hot and bothered. But I don't know. I think this just accelerated the inevitable demise, and now it feels like the dominoes are starting to topple over, dude. The house of cards is crumbling. Even the
It's
people that are eternally optimistic, I saw tweeting today, like,
me
man,
too. I saw Brenda's flaming the shit of the Titans, and I was like,
man.
ooh, that's not good.
Ooh.
When Brent's flaming you, you know you're really messed up.
Yeah,
It's like constantly keeping it cool.
So you're right. Riot has a big opportunity here to scoop up some of this potential investment, come in like the heroes, swinging in like Tarzan. Ah, we can run tournament leagues. Give us
And
your money.
They're saying they're going to keep it hands off, which is a pretty nice approach. AKA, let's let all the third-party people sink a bunch of money into it to buff up our game first.
Yeah.
Which Overwatch did as well, to be fair.
Yeah. I still want to believe that Riot will understand that there is some balance there, especially looking at the CSGO model, which is the complete opposite of what Riot does for the most part, and how well that thrives in a third-party market that's just kind of managed differently than Dota. You know, a little more hands-on from Valve, I guess you could say. I want to say they'll be inspired by that. I think you can definitely look at Overwatch and see the dark side of it just being one league. That's your entire infrastructure. It'd be nice if there were some third-party events somewhere at all that anyone gave a shit about. You know, you can still have some one-offs. You can still have a little bit of a third-party ecosystem. They are 100% all in on OWL. So when this shit crumbles, there is nothing to fall back on. It's just
I don't really know what the Riot third-party system's like with League of Legends.
I guess
they kind of have one, right? Like they sort of have.
It's broken apart. So like you got LEC, LCS, LEK. That's like the Korean version, the European version, and the North American version. So it is regional and split up. And I guess that like it's not private, but
they're so bound to those regions, you can't just have like an ESL tournament and like invite everyone, right? You can't have like an invitational of just like the best teams in the world.
No, because Riot still owns all the teams. Like if you're in those leagues, then Riot pays the salaries, I believe, right? So
yeah, I think that's right.
Unless I'm like really far out of the loop, so they have full control over. Yeah, you can play in this event or you can't. So maybe it's similar to Overwatch, but the difference is it's just structured better and more organic in nature. So instead of it being this artificially inflated, hey, give us 25 million to join Overwatch League, it was this growth over time of what LCS slots were worth that were not artificially inflated, at least not with that crazy starting line.
Oh yeah, someone just mentioned Artifact, which made me just realize like, what's going on with Artifact now? I saw there was another post recently.
I mean,
about from the development, we had mechanics, the heroes we need. Oh yeah, they're letting you vote. I believe was April 27th. So there was a vote taking place. There's a poll. It might be too late for the poll. Is it over? It looks like it's still open. You guys haven't done it yet. Here's Valve's SurveyMonkey poll saying, which of the following heroes would you most like to see in Artifact? Choosing between Nyx Assassin, Arc Warden, Huskar, or Snapfire. Oh, Nyx and Warden won. It's over. It's over.
It's over. Okay.
Why does the link still work then? Oh,
well,
I got all excited.
I am so cynical on card games, dude. I think if you're at the point of survey monkeying your audience for what they want in the game, you've already lost, and there's just no saving this ship.
Well, I mean that's a pretty minor thing, to be fair.
Yeah.
They're just asking for what hero do you want first. They're all gonna get there anyway.
I guess. I don't know. I'm just not that confident. I think I might be cynical against card games in general, though, so I've probably become a pretty biased source. I remember when the Artifact beta came out, I was talking to PoG about it. He's like, yeah, they offered it to me, and I turned it down. It's like, why? He said, I don't like card games. I know I'm not going to like it. It is a waste for me to even get a beta key. I'd rather they give it to somebody else who's actually going to play it and give them honest feedback. He's like, digital card games are just fucking stupid. I used to play Magic, and part of it is the physical card in your hand. Playing it on a computer is like, if I'm on a computer, I'm going to play a real game, or I'm not going to use the computer and do something else. I'm not playing cards on the computer. And he was so adamant about it, it really caught me off guard. And ever since then, I've just been slowly sinking to that level of hatred for digital card games. And I'm about at the Fogged level now. So thanks, Fogged. Thanks.
I mean, I kind of get it. That's not completely wrong. But there's also like the whole benefit of like, I can't play Magic the Gathering with people who aren't able to come to my basement, you know? Or lurk in my Friday night Magic.
No, I hear you.
So.
And that's coming from someone who did enjoy Hearthstone at the very beginning. You could play for free, and everybody else was playing it, and there was a little construction system. You could play some arena, play some construct. It was fun, but I'm over it. I don't have any desire to try new digital card games. And definitely some of the appeal was Blizzard lore that I knew, and it was kind of nostalgic to see Blizzard things cardified. There's appeal there. I'm a sucker for nostalgia. There's a Warcraft book on my shelf there, you know.
I got a Warcraft. I've seen the movie. I will.
I've seen the movie.
I will definitely play Artifact 2 when it comes out, as everyone's calling it. When it launches, I will give it another honest shot. Because I tried to give the first one. It didn't really hook me. Obviously, that happened to a lot of people. But, you know, I obviously want to support Valve as much as I can. So I'm willing to go in. I mean, I'm not going to, like, keep playing it if it sucks. But I will...
I'm with you. I'll give it an honest go.
Maybe we'll party up. Maybe it'll be like a
right.
two-headed dragon mode. Play some
Nice,
Artifact.
Jakiro mode. Let's do it. I like that.
All right, let's talk about this patch.
Dude, so this is
gameplay
C?
update.
Is this the one that we're on?
Yes. All right, let's refresh here, guys. So
Okay.
7.26. That was where we had the gold bounties reduced by 10%, and the kill streak goal was killed by 50. We lost the attributes, and it was headlined by the statement, "This release is focused only on the following systemic changes. Once these changes settle a bit, there will be follow-up hero and item-specific adjustments." All right. So then we went to 7.26A. That is where we lost kill streaks again, and they changed boots, and they buffed, I think, a bunch of heroes, right?
Yes.
No, that was
No.
mostly nerfs.
No, they
actually.
nerfed
That was
them.
like a ton of nerfs.
A couple heroes got
and boots
buffs.
got changed back.
Yeah. Most people got tuned down.
And then B was our last big one, where like there weren't that many item changes. There were a few. They're like salves and gloves, just like the super like bought every game ones. And then we had the crazy like gameplay changes. All talents 20% weaker. We got our HP auras on the towers. We got bigger XP. These were all the delay the game.
Denies no longer
further.
give gold. Another big one there.
Yeah, try and stop every lineup from snowballing. You can still snowball with like a super snowbally lineup, but it's harder to snowball with a like, you know, if you have Lycan and Visage and stuff, yeah, you're still gonna snowball. But if you have like maybe someone who's a little bit slower, like a Spectre, you're not just gonna get the stupid amount of gold on a Spectre and still somehow be like dominating the game, which is kind of what it felt like.
Yeah,
before
you have to
7.26.
actually all in draft it now to make
Yeah.
it possible. Whereas before you could draft a relatively normal lineup, then just throw a Lycan on the 3. It's like, oh, we're deathballing now. You know, you just throw in a support Death Prophet and go, yeah, that's our death ball. And now you like need a real ass death ball now. And yeah, that brings us to 7.26C. And this one is really talent adjustments.
Yeah, this is mostly an adjustment based on the 20% reduction. So this was took a few days of data, looked through the heroes a little bit more closely, and readjusted everything. I don't think we can really go through every hero because it's pretty boring. A lot of it is just like literally giving 20% back.
Well, a lot of them I noticed were swaps from like, okay, this level 15 talent is switching with a level 10 talent, and the level 15 version is now getting nerfed to make it feel good for level 10, and vice versa. The level 10 is getting buffed to make it feel good for a 15. And most of those adjustments, when I read through it on a gut level, were like, okay, this makes sense. Because we pointed out a few of those level 10s are like, ooh, +6 agility. Aren't you excited to get this over one of your skills? And now I think there's less of those. Talents are weaker still, but they fixed most of the like /lull sort of, I'm just gonna max out my skills before I even think about talents kind of stuff.
So in order to try and get a better read on these, I looked up the win rate changes over the past week. So what heroes have changed the most? And I think not surprisingly, Oracle had the biggest jump. Actually went up 2% in terms of win rate because of that change to the talent. We're now at level 20, right? You get the minus 20-second false promise cooldown.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty nice. Pretty big fan of that one. And then you also had the level 10 talent change from plus 0.8 second fortune end max duration to plus 0.4 second fortune's end duration. This one's a little bit weird, but now it just means that all of your fortune's end get like a free 0.4 seconds. Pretty nice. That's like almost half a second for free just by like spamming the route as fast as you can.
Yes, and this
so made
also,
it a little bit better.
This affects the minimum value and the maximum value. So before it was 0.8 just to the max duration.
Exactly.
And now it's split in half, so you get some for the minimum as well. So that I think that's pretty good. That sounds like a complicated but effective buff to a level 10 Oracle talent.
Yeah, it's very simple when you break it down. Basically, the old one was kind of stupid because the only way to get any value out of it was you had to fully charge it.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's
how
probably
often
on a
is an
sliding
Oracle,
scale, but yeah.
Yeah, how often do you really want to like hold it the entire time, right? Whereas
lets
this
you
one is just
tap.
a flat plus 0.4.
Okay. I like that. That's pretty nice.
Next highest was actually Bane. There wasn't like a ton of win rate adjustments this patch, at least not really huge ones, but Bane also went up about 2%. And he got a magic resistance talent at level 15, but he lost, or sorry, at level 10, but he lost his 75 cast range, but it got made up for by getting the 75 talent moved to level 15. So now instead of getting 75 cast range and 15 magic resistance by level 15, now level 15 you have 125 cast range and 15% magic resistance. So that's just straight up better. Life is good.
So what about old Clinks? How did he go? Because he was actually nerfed. They reduced Searing Arrows damage. Originally it was 20, 30, 40, 50, and they upped all of them by 10, and that seemed very good. And now they've reduced all of them by 5. So it's 25, 35, 45, 55 at the various levels of Searing Arrows. And then they tweaked his talents a little bit. They buffed his +6 agility now to +7. So that's pretty good.
He lost 2% instantly. Like the next day. He's now riding a solid 50. So
all right,
he's just kind of hanging out.
Damn it. Support Clinks is done. Fuck, dude. I barely knew ye.
I think it's still okay.
Yeah. Well, that'll really convince him in my pubs. Guys, support Clinks is just okay. So don't get mad at me for picking this shit. It's just okay, bud.
The biggest losers after this patch, Mars got annihilated. This poor guy. I saw there was a Reddit post instantly that was like, Ice Frog, wait, stop what you're doing. And it got voted pretty high. They're like, you literally can't combo. It was like at level 8 or something. He can't even do his whole combo or something because of his like,
because now the
his
mana
int
cost
is just like, he gets 1.4 int per level and he starts with 17. And like, you already buy Soul Ring, but even with Soul Ring now, people are finding they have mana problems. He also lost the butt spear. That's true. Can't do your bulwark toggle butt spear throw behind you without turning thing anymore.
Oh, yeah, that was a nice little
Yeah,
something.
that's pretty cheeky. But yeah, he got hurt pretty hard. He almost lost about 3%. They were able to also impact one of the higher win rate heroes of the Underlord. He was sitting at like 54% across the brackets.
Whoa.
Yeah, he was good, but he lost 0.3 strength per level. He lost some movement speed on his talent, then he got a little bit more cast range. But, you know, losing strength, I'm sure his win rate's probably just slowly been dropping ever since, like, the magic resistance, too. That was probably a huge nerf for that hero. I'm surprised strength cores didn't drop even more in terms of win rate based on that. I feel like the strength heroes having the magic resistance was actually so broken.
You kind of forget about it. It's one of those intangibles. It reminds me so much of the Rubik Aura, where you don't see it, but it definitely has an effect. And I think you're right. I think all of us were undervaluing how good that is, just buying these heavy strength items. You know, I used to buy Satanic kind of for the status resistance, and you were getting some pretty nice built-in magic resistance with that as well. I noticed they buffed Viper, a forgotten about hero that we've talked about just as a break.
Wow, my good friend Viper went up 1.26%.
Well, there you go. Nether, Nether Toxin max DPS increased 20 across the board, so now 80 at level 1. That sounds
gotta be careful.
Pretty good.
Remember, that's what made him a jungler, and then he was in the mid lane, and he just went in farm stacks.
Yeah,
and so
you gotta be careful there, Ice Frog. We've seen this before. It's not
he
that
knows.
fun.
The last thing you want is this Helm Atos Viper rearing its ugly head again and just running at everybody.
By the way, did you catch that little blip where apparently they wrote Stormbolt instead of Stormhammer for Sen?
I did see that. Yeah,
that was cute. I'm looking at the notes right now, and I noticed they changed it back to Stormhammer, so they actually did correct it. That's probably a copyright thing. I bet Stormbolt is technically like a Blizzard term.
Yes, 100%.
So that's pretty funny though. Yeah, old habits die hard, dude.
It's probably still written as Stormbolt in the code. I bet.
Probably. Yeah. Hard coded like that. That's pretty good. There was one other that really jumped out at me I wanted to point out that I can't remember now. It might have been Lycan. His change was pretty small from 315 movement to 305. I think what struck me was that I never realized his base movement speed was 315. The fuck is that? He already runs fast as shit with his ultimate. 315, level 1. God damn. Like
his was already pretty good.
He was overtuned, dude. Just across the board. I did not realize how busted. Now I feel like insecure about those Witch Doctor wins. I think we were just getting carried by Lycan being dumb busted.
I literally told you that, but that's
I
cool.
know, but I thought you were just making fun of me. I didn't want to believe it, but now the reality's setting in. Like I thought Pop-Tart
You
was
want to hear
this
the
god.
real reality though? Is that even though his win rate went down, it's still fine in Immortal bracket. He is still in 7.5% of Immortal games and Divine, which is much higher than the other brackets, of course. And he's spouting almost a 61% win rate.
Wow.
He's still the highest.
Wow.
So the hero is still absolutely crushing it right now.
Okay.
Don't worry. You can still get carried.
Still viable. All right. Well, I need
it's okay.
it.
And
I need it.
Directly after, let me list you guys the other heroes with the highest win rates in Immortal right now. Let me see. Is this month? Let me see. Okay, that's still this month, I guess. So theoretically, these might still be a little bit impacted, unless I can change the patch. I don't think I can. So hopefully these will still continue to go down. But Visage, Beastmaster, Lone Druid, Bane Chen, Broodmother, and then Arc Warden. Actually, but I mean that's an Arc Warden spammer, so not too shocking. A lot of very fast heroes still have extremely high win rates even after these nerfs.
Huh. All right.
Again, I think that's this whole month though, so hopefully those will start to dwindle a little bit.
Yeah. Now this was a nice patch. It finally feels like we're letting the dust settle a little bit, and now we're calibrating on these big changes. The last couple of weeks have been a really weird time for pubs because the fundamental like formula aspects of Dota have been changing rapidly. Like you're just starting to get a handle on what the streak change feels like, and then they drop all these other changes to the income. And I can only imagine what it's like for pro players. But I'll tell you what, bud, my pubs have been suffering. I can't coach us to victory because I don't know what the fuck's going on. I don't know what to do. Hey, let's kill this tier 2, and then we get wiped. And it's like, oh yeah, the tier 2 tower does a stupid amount of damage now. That's my bad, guys.
The timings are a lot harder now.
That's my bad. Yeah, exactly. You think you know it in your head. You start killing Roche, and you're like, guys, I don't think we're gonna get it in time. Like, those are scary moments.
Yeah, there was a tweet by Seb that was he said we really need more kill/assist gold. Dota gameplay is depressing right now. So obviously OG, a team that kind of benefited a lot from kills being gold.
Yeah.
They would like constantly dive the towers, hyper aggression, and then like build that into auras and just like win Dota. I mean, obviously they were just like straight up better than everyone too, but them losing out on kills is gonna reduce that aggressive style by quite a bit. And I think people are starting to feel that. At least I'm seeing it in the games I'm casting, where I feel like the early game kills are not mattering all that much.
Yeah. It's about winning the lanes. It's like when you see these lanes where somebody rotates and you get the pick off, and then you have that immediate feeling of, but this doesn't change the state of affairs. They're just going to go right back to the way it was. This guy's dominating. The bristleback's farming. The slug can't hit the creeps. Whatever the scenario is.
Especially when they put the gold back in neutrals. It feels like neutrals are just like kind of ownage again, especially ancients. I feel like controlling the ancient camps is a very good way to win some Dota 2 right now.
We've talked about that eastern side of the map where the ancients are. And if you're on Dire and you get that invasion and you just hold that part and don't really make any mistakes and don't let your carry get picked off and maintain the vision, you're farming super effectively, especially if it's like a gyrocopter or some shit where you just plow through
if you're
the
just
stacks.
like some Dire lineup that has good tower push on the early end, like even if it just means a Chen and like one guy that's decent at hitting towers, and you can just like take the tier 1 and the tier 2, suddenly the Radiant team just like loses complete control over that area.
Yeah.
Even if they keep the tier 2, like that might not even be enough to get in there when you're holding the outposts. And there's just so many like good spots to hide wards on that part. That's one thing I've noticed, that teams are very good at hiding their wards around in that area. And so they make it really hard to invade in there unless you're going to smoke every single time as the Radiant, which is kind of what it feels like they end up doing. But even that, of course, you've got a limit on that. And if you fail a couple of those smokes, suddenly you're just losing so much every time you try to go back for it. So you settle for farming the western half of the map, and it's just like, I don't know, there's no ancients. It's really not that great. At least you have Roche. That's the one benefit. So Radiant teams with Roche heroes are very good right now for that very reason.
Yeah, but Roche is such a long timer. It's like, okay, we're going to get Roche again in 8 minutes. That's a long 8 minutes when that gyrocopter is just running from ancient camp to ancient camp. And when you're
It's
on the
also what Roche is Aegis, which means you can win the next fight, but fights don't feel that great. So
yeah, exactly. And when you're on the Radiant side of it, you constantly feel this pressure of like, you're getting out farmed the way the map is split up. So you sort of feel like you have to invade, but as you're saying, the false sense of security now is becoming just a part of the strategy. If it seemed like that used to happen almost accidentally, where somebody put a ward in a strange spot, or that it would be right between the sentries. Now people are warding intentionally to create that false sense of security. Where are they going to sentry? Okay, let's plant this thing in the most obscure spot possible so that we know when they're invading and we can get the jump. It's it's pretty weird. I just did. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was to say we've also now finished up with the group stage of weplay. I think they're doing their tiebreakers right now. For the second division. So Nova's playing Team Unique right now. Looks like Team Unique are about to win game 1. But they're gonna move into their playoff stage. So they have 2 playoffs happening at the same time, essentially. So the first division has the teams you guys all know. That's probably the games you've been mostly watching. And then there's a much smaller playoff bracket for Division 2. And the Division 2 consists of the winner of the match that's on right now between Unique and Nova versus Empire Hope, and then Family Team and Kill Steel Commando, as well as Cyber Legacy and Viking GG are all in that secondary division. So they've kind of been playing like their own group stage alongside the WePlay events. They've been at the end of every day.
Okay.
And they're going to do a grand finals for both of them on the last day. So there'll be grand finals of Division 2 into grand finals of Division 1. So they're trying. It's a nice way for WePlay to like kind of put out these tier 2 teams essentially by like kind of shoving them in the middle of their tier 1 bracket. I think it's a nice idea.
I mean, they're sort of doing the division league that we were going to have without COVID. You know what Valve announced?
Sort of.
They're making an upper league and a lower league, and they're mashing them together with the broadcast schedule so that the viewership bleeds and you're not going out of your way to watch Division 2, but they run side by side. Division 2 has what, like a $5,000 prize pool or something. This reminds me a lot of what Starladder used to do. They always had a pro series and a star series that was sort of similar, and they would have a little relegation where the top
teams... It is a really small prize pool. I did not know it was only 5K.
Yeah, move up and move down. Be nice if that was maybe 50K or something, but
it's a little depressing compared to the 250 of the Division 1. But at the same time,
it's all voluntary. So I think this is a cool it's a cool idea nonetheless. It's nice to see WePlay innovating a little bit and not just running tier 1 tournaments, spreading the love, trying to create a little mobility, give these tier 2 teams somewhere to play.
And I was like, all right, I don't want to bring this up.
Oh, we're going to bring it up because it's on my list too. I already know what you're going to talk about, dude. The new record.
Division 1 teams. Have Bait won a game since you have joined as part of the organizational team? I mean, obviously you're on the side. You have nothing to do with the Dota playing. But
yes,
have they won a game since you joined?
They've not won a series. I thought they had gone at least one.
I think they might have won one game.
I think
after
they've gone
started. They like won one game in a best of 3 that I was casting like the second day.
Yes.
That you were part of their little thing, and then they were just... I think they've lost every game since.
Yeah, and Knoxville recently tweeted that the record for loss streak now goes to Bait in terms of officials, and I think is it 0-24? Is that the record?
I believe so. Yes.
It's sort of equal but opposite to the win streak the other way that Dendy held at one point. I think when he was on Na'Vi. Yeah, dude, it's pretty brutal. I did another podcast with Dendy. I
saw that.
We recorded
Slacks. What's up with Dendy, dude? He's putting himself out there.
Oh, Slacks did one with him? Oh, I missed that. I didn't realize that.
Oh, look at you. You don't even know Dendy's 2-time on you. Yeah, he did seriously. A Against the Odds, I think it was called. It's like a rivalry-sponsored podcast with Slacks where they watch a big comeback in one of the WePlay games.
There you go. It's not listed on Liquipedia for some reason, but of course, Rivalry is the title sponsor of Bait. So...
yes,
that makes sense then. It's doing some Bait promos. Yeah, we recorded on Sunday and it got released like yesterday or the day before, I think. And it was a good podcast. If this were any other team, I would be kind of like, Jesus Christ, guys, what's the plan here? But I really admire Dendy's ability to always face it. They're one of the strategies at Bait is we're going to talk no matter what. If we win, we're going to talk about it. If we lose, we're going to talk about it. We're always going to be good losers. We're always going to be good winners. We're always going to be there for our fans, even if we can't take the W. And I think that's like a really cool foundation for a team. It gets a little tough when there aren't some wins peppered in with the losses. And I think they're dedicated to building a team culture and really trying to do it right. And it was off to a rocky start with Kuman, and COVID has made it even worse because they had a facility like lined up and prepared for the players to come in and boot camp and do the, we're really going to get to know each other and we're really going to build something here. And then that getting swept out from under you makes it so much harder to take those first steps. It's one thing to have a foundation and then bring new players in. It's another thing to not be able to build the foundation. So certainly not trying to say it's all COVID's fault or anything like that, but it's been a rough start, and that has been reflected in the results. And
they also are in a unique scenario where they're playing in a league against some of the best teams in the world.
yes, and that makes it look even worse.
It's it definitely makes it a lot worse for them. Like they're definitely, I mean, to be fair, I guess they're only playing like the best teams in their own region. It's like they're playing against like Secret and everyone, but it is like all teams that have been more established than them. No, it's still not an excuse for not winning a single game. I definitely think they should have been taking games off.
Yeah.
But it's they're not like playing open qualifiers and just losing to teams.
Yeah. And also one of the things I asked Dendy about was, are you going to play another position? Like, do you think it's time to hang up your hat with mid and go on a support role or something like most other captains do? And he said that he's willing to do basically anything. He's like, I want this organization and team to succeed. I don't care about playing mid. I care about the team itself being successful. And if I can best achieve that by playing 4, playing 5, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Sort of an interesting answer, and made me wonder if we might actually see Dendy on more of a support role. I was sort of just trying to make the case of, isn't it easier to call shots and lead the team when you're focused on the 5 instead of a heavy mechanical role like mid? And he sort of disagreed and essentially said, well, on mid, I feel like I'm driving the game. If I'm on Queen of Pain and I'm winning my lane, I'm controlling runes, I can set the tempo and I can make the calls and have the team kind of converge around me. So I think maybe some of that is just used to being mid and calling shots. But
yeah, I can see that argument. But it also just would be like, wouldn't it be nice to just be free and just like, sure, your own timings and stuff, and you can still like communicate that to your captain. But I feel like just being able to just focus so much more on your own game and not having to look around at all your teammates' items and stuff would make your life so much easier. Like when I'm playing 5, I'm looking at like everyone's inventory to see like, okay, how close are they to this? How close are they to that? When should we be going to do that? And it's very easy to do as 5 because the only other thing I'm really doing is looking at the minimap and following my carry in the fog or something while he farms a wave.
Yeah.
Just like trying to keep my body in the right spot in case there's a smoke gank. But playing position 2 or 1, like I feel like you should be looking at the creep waves a lot more and like trying to benefit off of that. And it must be so hard. I mean, I really admire him that he's still trying to make that work, but I would definitely be interested in watching him play a different role. I think that'd be very, very fun for everyone. Unfortunately, that hasn't gone so well for some players.
It's true.
Especially the same caliber, like Mushi, for example. When he started playing 5, holy moly, what a disaster that was.
Yeah. No, you're not
That's like
wrong.
some of the worst 5 games I've ever seen.
I guess I'd be curious, almost like, is it worth an experiment? There's a certain point where, all right, if we're gonna break things down and we got to rebuild a little bit, let's try something completely new and see if it works for us. So I still have some confidence there. Very thankful for Rivalry being a part of the team there, helping keep things stable during these times with COVID when everyone's locked inside. It's an interesting time, dude. I don't know. Feel bad for Dendy because I know how much time and effort he's putting into it, and I know how much it hurts
and
him
all the
to
players, obviously, are all, like grinding it out as hard as they can.
Oh yeah, the whole team is, but he's also playing like there isn't really a coach, so he's also kind of the coach and the captain and the mid. So he's wearing a few too many hats right now, and I know he's burning the midnight oil, like looking at the replays and trying to get to the heart of, all right, what's gone wrong? And more importantly, how do I take what I think has gone wrong in these games and communicate it to my team? The problem every coach has to face. Okay, I've identified some of the problems. How do we fix the problems? That's like the next step that's even harder than identifying them, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on over there. This is definitely a tough time to be starting a Dota team.
Well, for the teams that are not knocked out of the WePlay League, Division 1 starting tomorrow. The matches go in order of what you'll see on Liquipedia, I believe. Except there's only gonna be 3 matches of the Division 1. So you'll have Hellraisers versus NIP, and then VP Prodigy versus Alliance, and then Virtus Pro versus Team Liquid. I think I'm casting Virtus Pro versus Team Liquid, so I'll see you guys there.
Shit.
It's gonna be good. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. So those are all happening, and then Division 2, their first match also happens tomorrow. That'll be the 4th series of the day. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days of playoffs for you guys to enjoy. It's gonna be very good.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah. Shout out to the guys working there, man. That's rough. I mean, I think we talked about once before on the podcast, but I would be really upset if I was stuck in another country. Even if I was working, obviously I'd be very happy that I'm at least working.
Yeah.
But it must kind of suck to be like literally living in the hotel or at the studio.
Yeah.
That's kind of their whole life right now.
Part of me feels like it could be fun. I guess it depends on how much you like the people you're stuck there with.
That's true.
That's a big factor. At least you've got a little team. You know,
Yes.
I would rather be that than like, could you imagine if you had a really awesome job in like New York City and you had an apartment where you lived by yourself and your job was shut down and you didn't live near your family and you were just stuck there by yourself in your apartment, a 1-bedroom with nothing to do. Like, you'd get pretty tired of video games and Netflix like real quick. And you'd be wishing you had a team to like, hey, at least we're building something. At least we're here together working as a team on a project. So there's some upsides, but yeah.
I had to laugh at the Reddit. There was some Reddit thread I saw where they're talking about like, weplay, you need to fix the obvious aggression between these panelists, and they're talking about how like they clearly all hate each other and everything, and just like, guys, I can promise you they do not hate each other.
Guys, it's probably a bit.
They're just kidding. But they were like generally convinced that like, yeah, it's really obvious like the different chemistry and stuff, and really that's actually what it is. It's really just a chemistry thing that they're not able to play it off as well as normal, but it's definitely not these guys are tired of each other or hating each other or frustrated with each other or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's just like the chemistry and the way you bounce off each other gets so much better over time, and it's also something that every talent develops at after a lot of talent work.
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
A lot of people are so bad at bouncing back and forth when they're first talent. Doesn't mean they're a bad talent. I mean, they can be super smart, especially like Harry Freak, for example. The guy's like super smart at Dota. I know people like to rag on him and everything because he's like a new guy, but he's obviously pretty high MMR, and he knows his shit when it comes to a lot of teams, and he has pretty good experience to discuss like why teams are like thinking certain things during the draft and everything. But the guy's just not, he hasn't done a lot of talent before, so his like candor and banter isn't going to be that great, and people immediately like they just see that and they just start picking it apart because he doesn't look like a professional,
Yeah, it takes a lot of practice. I think you're right. And you think it's all about Dota, and then you realize there's a lot of time where you need to talk about other stuff and have like quips and jokes that are topical and be able to make relational connections. Like, that's what make the really talent interesting, is that they can connect real world stuff into the storytelling of the game in the way of jokes and whatnot. I actually really think there's a lot of crossover between stand-up comedy and esports talent work in terms of
100%.
You there's no replacement for just doing it. You just have to get on stage and bomb in front of a live audience a couple of times and work at the material, engage the reaction. Twitch chat is the equivalent of the live audience that stand-ups use for that instant feedback of, did this joke land? Was this too far? Was this too cringe? Whatever. And it's not a perfect art or anything, but nothing replaces the practice. Replay casting by yourself is just not the same as casting in front of an audience and seeing that viewer number and seeing that like, oh my God, this guy's a fucking idiot in real time and holding it together.
It never gets old, dude.
Yeah.
It's like I was actually casting like last week, and I said that I said that Maledict was dispellable, but I didn't mean to say dispellable. I meant to say like the last tick doesn't hit because of like saves and stuff, but I used the word dispellable instead, and then I just felt stupid after because I was like, well, yeah, I have like Witch Doctor's like literally my most played hero over the past year. I know it's not dispellable.
Yeah.
Just funny how like you can still make such simple mistakes, and a guy picked me was like, yo, dog, come on, that's not dispellable. I was like, yeah, I'm sorry, I messed up. My bad.
People will chastise you. It's one of the other things.
He was nice about it. It wasn't a good chastising. It was all right.
Yeah. One of the things that's sometimes hard for regular folks to understand is talent are pretty mean to each other in real life. And it's just part of the way we do business. Like, esports is very into put down humor for whatever reason. There seems to be a lot of crossover. And I've heard, like, on the Joe Rogan podcast, they talk about this a lot, where it's hard for normal folks to hang out with a group of comedians because it's jarring to see how mean they are to each other. Because they're all comedians, they know that they don't have a limit, and they just go in with the most fucked up jokes they can imagine because they know their audience in that specific scenario. We're very much the same way. The way we talk off camera at MOONDUCK events is pretty fucked up. We're real mean to each other. You know, but it's just part of our creative process and how we start to develop that filter of like, okay, let's try our audience. How does Trent react? And then, okay, that's a barometer of how far over the line I was.
I'm like the mom watching. That's like my reaction level. If I care, Slacks doesn't give a shit. He needs someone who's like way he needs, like, if he offends Grant, he's like, okay, that was too far.
Yeah, exactly. But it is jarring, and I've seen that look on people's faces where, like, a girlfriend or a +1 or, like, Purge's dad stopped by Midas Mode because he was in town, and he walks in, it's just like, okay, what did he overhear before we realized, oh, there's an adult in the room? Okay, okay. So yeah, it's very interesting to just sort of observe the crossover between the sort of art forms. And one of the other things is that we are all ad-lib. We don't really have teleprompters in esports. That's one thing that makes our broadcast
Nothing is planned at all. It's actually, I think a lot of people I guess we've kind of talked about that before, but like even at TI, there's not really segments. I mean, there kind of are. Like TI is like a little bit more led because there's just like more content, but a lot of the times we just get up there and they're going to be like, hey, we're going to play a video. Like, okay. Let's go.
Yeah, it's very fly by the seat of your pants. Let's see where the conversation goes. And we've all just sort of gotten used to all right, we're just going to wing it, so to speak. But that is relatively unique in terms of broadcast mediums. For the level of reach we have, it's staggering how little is prepared compared to what traditional broadcast television is like. And we've said this before, but watch any halftime show. The amount of highlights and stuff they have and all the quick cuts, it's very little talking heads on a panel. You watch esports, it's like 90% talking heads on a panel with like 2 camera shots. Here's the left side. Okay, here's the right side. Oh, we're going back to the left side and the wide shot and the left side.
And leave it the wide shot for 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's kind of where we're at with it. But can we talk about Blast a little bit?
It's crazy how like the hosts have to work so much though. Like where they have to have the full thing of notes ready because they're the only person who was running the show. Thank God that Shiver has like her notebook or you have your notebook and everything is itemized or else we would not get anywhere.
Yeah, you basically have to be a project manager, I think, to be a good host in esports. So Shiver, me, Red Eye, Dakota, like all of us have some sort of background or general interest in project management and keeping things organized. If you don't have that mentality, the only way to survive is to go Rich Campbell, and maybe he is really organized, but to me, he's crazy guy. Like, all right, Rich, we need 10 minutes. Do something to entertain the people. And he starts on taking his shirt off. He starts role playing. Like, He's pure crazy in a way that is so lovable that you just want to see what he's going to do next. He's got some of that Slaxian energy that's so infectious.
I miss Lance, dude. I just want to hang out with everyone again.
Yeah, seriously. I'm itching. Because it had already been a while for me, and I got invited to an event in the Philippines. I was so excited to get a taste of Philippines esports culture for the first time.
I miss flying.
Yeah.
I didn't think that would ever happen again.
Yeah, right.
I don't know, there's all these movies I want to watch. I haven't been on a movie. Like, that's the only time I watch movies.
Yeah, seriously. That's how I pass time on flights. I binge movies that I actually wanted to watch, but I'm so lazy to go to the theater. So, dude, let's talk about Blast a little bit. How you feeling about
yeah.
Well, let's call it what it is. Midas Mode 3.0. I'm going to go there. How are we feeling about
why
this?
Is that? Is that how the formula works?
No, not exactly, but it's this idea of challenges that teams have to execute for money. It's sort of like a midway point between what Midas Mode 2 was and what regular Dota is. It's a little bit less crazy, but teams start with a fixed amount of money, and then their bounty is like up for grabs every time they beat each other. And I think there's additional bounties and challenges along the way.
Oh, yeah. The fans submit them and everything. Yeah. I'm reading about it. I didn't know there were bounties. Is it like the same kind of idea, though?
I guess we don't really know. From what I read, it was a somewhat generic kind of announcement where there's still some details to be announced of exactly how it'll be set up. But Yeah, fans can be part of the tournament. We'll be giving you the chance to choose some of the additional bounties in a fan vote. Not only that, but one lucky person who casts a vote will have their nickname to be part of the bounty name. Further details on the in-game bounties will be announced prior to the start of the tournament. So I don't know exactly. We'll see.
Wow, we should mail them Mr. Midas.
Yeah.
Black should just like put it in a package and send them the glove and see if they use it.
Yeah. So I think it's a $150,000 prize. They did something similar in CSGO. I didn't watch it, so I don't know exactly what it is, but they had this bounty hunt sort of idea a while ago. And some of the reaction, of course, was this is just Midas mode, and it's a little bit different. We don't. IP around Dota game modes is kind of weird. We own Midas mode, but in terms of making a similar concept in Dota, we don't own the actual game mode if someone reverse engineers it. Just like even though we did Captain's Draft, we don't own Captain's Draft.
Yeah, it's not like we're gonna get mad at someone doing Captain's Draft. I mean, even like you could theoretically do bot TI and just call it something
right,
else.
but there's a market incentive
there
hate you. Because the audience is hypersensitive to that, and even though it's not technically an IP that you own in that way, the audience reacts as if it were, and that's sort of your protection. Some of your brand loyalty, right? All of you in Twitch chat or pitchforks ready, like, hey man, why do you work with Moonduck on this? So I'm a little sad because I didn't know anything about it until it was announced. I immediately DM'd them on Twitter with my little check mark and said, hey, brah, I don't know how much you guys know about Dota, but we did this really cool event, and I know some people that would love to broadcast this, so hit me on the 9, dude. Let's chat. And they didn't respond to my inquiry, and I'm
nuts.
I'm a little sad. I feel like I'm worth a no at the very least. I'm worth a, hey, we hired Red Eye in the gang. We're set. Sorry, bud. I got the straight snub. So not even like a shout out or a thank you or like, dude, Midas mode's fucking awesome. Are we going to pretend that you haven't heard of Midas mode? Of course you've heard of Midas mode, motherfuckers. That was the first thing that popped up in your search when you're trying to figure out if this would work for Dota 2. So salty is not the right word.
Don't you know who I am?
Don't you know who I am? So a lot of other articles were very kind in drawing the parallels. We weren't mentioned in the official announcement on the Blast website, but a lot of the sites that picked up the story were pretty quick to say, hey, this feels like a page out of the Midas mode book. But Trent, I feel like I can't be salty because there's part of me that feels like we really screwed up Midas mode too. Like I wanted that to be a more calibrated and actual game mode. And because we had so many issues with the map, things went off the rails even crazier than we had planned on. I don't think we ever planned on Slacks playing in the game with one of the teams. That was just an evolution of how the event went. So in some ways, I can't be super salty because I'm like, if you guys are going to take what we intended to do with Midas Mode 2 and just do it better and make it a little more like regular Dota so the teams enjoy it and don't feel completely abused like guinea pigs.
Please do.
More power to you. I kind of hate to say it. And if they've got 150 grand to fork up for a prize pool, then really more power to you because we don't. I do not have $150,000 right now that I can put up for a prize pool to do Midas Mode 3. If we did, we'd probably do it. So,
I mean, they're hiring a Dota community manager, guys. They
should
just
I
posted
apply?
that like 3 days ago. Did you apply?
I didn't, but maybe I should.
Might as well.
I'd be a great Dota community. I wonder what pays. If it's work from home, I might be in. I like applying for jobs.
I like applying for jobs.
I do, dude. It feels good to write up a resume and a cover letter. I'm not going to lie, dude. I have never stopped applying for jobs. The last 8 years of my esports career, at least once a month, I pull up the job boards, see what's going on. If there's anything interesting, I shoot out an application. I have applied at every major company. It might not be a great look for Moonduck, but I've sent out a lot of applications because I want to know what my worth is in the market, Trent. I don't want to wait until Moonduck explodes and I need a job to start thinking about my resume. I want to have contenders lined up, frothing at the gash at the opportunity to hire Zyori when I need it.
There you go.
I want to be ahead of the curve. And it's a confidence booster. Do you know how good it feels to do an interview at Battlefy, have them offer you a job, and then go, yeah, not interested. Sorry, find somebody else. Click. Do you know how good that fucking feels, Trent? That is the power play among power plays.
All right. I'm impressed. I'll give you that.
Oh God. So I'm curious to see how it'll work out for Blast Pro. Do you know? Have they hired any talent? By the way, have they reached out to you or anything?
I have not heard anything.
Okay, because
If I had to assume, I would guess they just hired Code Red because I feel like they probably have a communications with them based off their CS:GO stuff, but I don't know that for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. So TBD on that. TBD.
I'll get in on it. Don't worry. I'll figure it out.
Good.
There was one other bit of news that broke like shortly before I think we started, and I quickly glanced over it here. Actually, it was 5 hours ago. Okay, well, I only saw it before we started. And that was that Winstrike is being accused of some pretty serious stuff here, guys.
Oh, is this match fixing stuff?
No. This is actually a bunch of contract and financial stuff. So Virtus Pro, Gambit, Hellraisers, and Forzy have all banded together to write this letter claiming that Winstrike have basically been doing a lot of shady and shitty deals and attempting to screw over every other team. Here's one of the excerpts that I thought was pretty comical. Winstrike allegedly approached Forzy Esports to sign one of its lineups in November 2019. And after long negotiations, a contract was signed on the 20th of January 2020. Forzy claims that to this contract, the deadline for Winstrike's transfer fee was the 21st of February, after which a penalty came into effect. However, Forzy claims that they managed to renegotiate the contract after the deadline passed and agreed to a new contract according to which they would only have to pay 50% of the initial amount owed. But then they just stopped responding to Forzy, and they still haven't paid them. So they agreed on an amount. Then when they didn't pay, Forzy were like, well, I guess we don't really have a good way of forcing you, but can you give us half the money? And then they just like, oh, shit, you can't even get half money from us? And they just ghosted them.
Now that is the power play. Jesus.
They wouldn't even pay half. And then there's various other roster, and like even if they did play stuff, they never paid them.
I can tell you what, though, Forzy, that is not the way you want to negotiate this. You got to call in the big guns and go big dick. You can't just be like, okay, well, do you think maybe we could get half the money? Like you can't look weak. You gotta go hard. You gotta be like, bitch, if you don't pay us, it's gonna be 150%. We're coming for you. I know where you sleep, motherfucker. Like you gotta instill a little bit of fear, even if it's just empty threats. You know, it's all in or all out. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but that is pretty. You're right. That is pretty funny.
They're just like these weird cash flow. Like, here's another one. Winstrike allegedly signed a contract with Hellraisers to purchase Aloha Dance in November 2019. According to Hellraisers, the transfer fee payment was supposed to be completed by the end of November, so the same month in which they did it. However, Winstrike transferred the payments in smaller portions weekly from December to March. So instead of paying it all in 1 month, they gave them every week a little bit of cash from December, January, February, and March. And then in early March, the transfer was complete. However, there are penalties for not paying on time, of which Winstrike never paid, and now they've just started ghosting Hellraisers as well.
So they signed a contract that said, yeah, you pay us one lump sum, and then they just did it their own way and ignored the penalties for that. And in their mind, they're like, yeah, I mean, we gave you the money, and Hellraisers are like, sorta, except not the extra money you owed us, according to the contract, and then the old classic of, well, we're just going to delete this email account, and it's over now. That's... shit, dude. I guess I just need to start slowly backing away from bad business deals. You know, you just send half the money and then just disappear and go, yeah, if you can't get a hold of me. It almost worked for Northern Arena.
Yeah, true.
The old classic CEO mailbox full. Sorry, no more messages being accepted. Too many people have called to complain. Well, sorry, Winstrike. I mean...
Yeah, I guess that's pretty big deal. I assume that any players currently playing for them are going to see this and be like, uh-oh.
Yeah. I mean, it's always been an issue with esports of how do you enforce this shit? Because with international, things get tricky with jurisdiction and complicated and expensive, and you have to translate everything, and it's hard. And a lot of businesses are aware there's this mutually agreed upon sort of implicit part of every contract that's like, we can't enforce this shit. You know, like China's the classic with that. You sign a contract with them. What, you got to go to China and sue them? Yeah, good fucking luck. You know, that's not happening. Yeah. So you have to structure most deals so that you build in these as few trust points as possible, where it's like, all right, we're not giving you the money until you actually show us that you can do something. You know, put the logo on your website first. You have to do that because there occasionally will be bad actors like this that'll call that bluff and go, yeah, we'll see you in court, bitch, knowing that you don't have a lawyer, you don't have enough money to fight in court, and it doesn't matter because you're not going to pursue it.
The whole idea that it's never worth it to go after that money is just like so frustrating.
It sucks. It really sucks. And we've been there, right? Northern Arena was like that. They owed us like 20 grand or something. It's like, to fight this internationally in Canada, I gotta hire an international lawyer, understands fucking Canadian, he speaks French and shit. I don't know what's going on. This is in Montreal of all places. I don't know what the fuck's happening. You know, it's not worth the amount you'd have to pay to get that 20 grand. So our only means of doing it is calling up the Score Esports and going, I got a good one. And then they wire you some money because they want to try to keep their brand alive. Sorry, Northern Arena, but you can fuck off. I don't know how that org is still running events, dude. I think they still owe money to people, including Dota teams from that event that we did in Montreal. That
the teams came up to us after, like, you guys got paid? Like, hell yeah, we got paid. We told the score. We're like, well, we didn't get paid.
Yeah, dude.
Here's their info.
It's one of the. I remember after he sent the money, he's like, so are they going to delete the article now? I remember just sending back, that was not part of the deal. I will send them an update so that they can amend it with funds were eventually sent, but no, the article does not get deleted. That's not how this works, big dog.
What a hilarious attempt.
Welcome to the rest of us, Carl, Edwin, whatever the fuck. I still follow him on Twitter, though. I'm trying to creep on what's going on. That's how you know, folks. Follows on Twitter are not necessarily an endorsement. I follow that guy because I am waiting for him to fuck up so I can write another loot bet using Pornhub to advertise to susceptible Dota 2 fans article. I'm just waiting. I'm lurking beneath the surface. That follow is not an endorsement. Dude,
again.
You got to be on the pulse, man. You got to get those updates live before they get deleted, or else you miss your chance. That's the real key at the dirt. But all right, bud. To round this one out, I wanted to encourage more of this iTunes action, folks. We've been appreciating all of the reviews, and if you're listening to this podcast on iTunes, please take a moment, even if you're a video consumer. We appreciate your audio-only downloads. We've got another review I got to read here. This is from Avil Tone. I don't even play Dota 2 is the title. I haven't played Dota in a number of years now, but I enjoy the personalities and the storylines. Shared Tangos supplies me with that and much more. Trent and Ziori are interesting people on their own and work great together. They also get a fantastic smattering of guests and diverse topics. Definitely worth a listen. Fantastic smattering. I've never used that verb before in my life, and I'm going to start.
I'm so glad I smattered someone.
You smattered someone, bud. Life-changing and groundbreaking. Three Grove says this is truly a sensational podcast that has changed my life. Folks, hit us with your reviews, and you might get featured here on the show. We certainly appreciate all of the patronage with your eyeballs. We're going to get this up on YouTube ASAP. Little change, no longer a delay in the YouTube VODs. And, of course, the audio will be coming right after that. So stay tuned. Shared Tangos will return next week. And I think that's it for us today, bud.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Cool. All right. Bye-bye now.